All right, the New York Giants getting things rolling in the offseason. Is that where we are? I got myself all twisted up here. It is the New York Giants. Offseason work has begun. What am I doing? We were talking about Bobby Wagner during the break. I got Bobby Wagner on the brain. We'll talk about Bobby Wagner coming up. For now, a guy who is not playing for the New York Giants is Bobby Wagner, but Daniel Jones is. Brian Daboll is the head coach. Let's hear from Daboll earlier today talking about what Daniel Jones needs to do to improve this spring. And there's a very important reason for Jones to impress everyone in this new regime as soon as possible. Here's Daboll talking about Jones.
Being able to communicate effectively in the huddle or run the no-huddle operation well, really get to know your players and the body languages of each player, receiver, of the things that we're asking him to do, have some input on what he likes and doesn't like, and then ultimately evaluate his decision makings and try to put him in as many different situations as we can to teach him off of the situations that we can learn from, and hopefully he can, retain that as we're playing. And look, it might not come up until week 3 of the season, but you're trying to hit all those things for the quarterback to make sure that he's on point in that regard.
And here's the reality, and Joe Shane, the new GM of the team, told me this at the scouting combine. They want to be around Daniel Jones, Mike. They want to get to know him this month because May 2nd is the deadline for exercising the fifth-year option. And there's been this strange dichotomy. They say all these great things about Daniel Jones. He's our guy. He's our guy. He's our guy. What about the fifth-year option? Well, we'll get back to you on that. And so the decision is going to be made this month. What they see from him, what they hear from him, what they think of him this month is the difference maker. They're supposedly on the fence. They're going to get knocked one way or the other this month by what they see and hear from Daniel Jones. They're going to pick up that option or they're not. And if they don't, it's going to make all those words, all those superlatives, all those bouquets they threw in his direction seem hollow from January. And it'll tell us they've seen and heard something that they don't really like.
Well, listen, to sit here and say in the next month you can decide whether a guy should get the fifth-year option or not is ridiculous. I know he's going to be in the classroom and a little bit on the field and then always learning a new offense, but it's going to really be tough to tell unless he just – you'd be able to tell one way if he can't handle the speed of what they want to do or how quickly the decisions have to be made. But I have a feeling he's going to be able to do that. So what are you really going to be able to tell? So, Mike, it comes down to me. So let's look at money in a business decision. I was asking you these questions in the break. So it has to be by May 2nd, you said, correct? That they have to give him the fifth-year option. And this fifth-year option is a little over $22 million. So here's the thought process. You give him the option and you hope he does well. And if he does well, then you can either extend him or if nothing else, you have him next year for $22 million. If you say we're going to, not do the option, and he has a great year, now he's a free agent or you tag him. You know better than me. What's going to be the tag number for a quarterback next year? 35 million, 34 more? I don't really know. But
around
it's going
34.
It's going to be about $12 million more than if you just gave him the fifth-year option. Now, of course, the other side of that is he doesn't live up to the expectations you want. And now you have a Baker Mayfield situation where Baker's on your team, you don't want him on your team, and you owe him 18.8. So those are kind of the options and business decisions you're dealing with.
The Bears went through this a couple of years ago with Mitchell Trubisky.
Right.
They chose not to pick up the fifth-year option. Let's see how he does in his fourth year. And if he plays really well, that falls into the good problem to have category because then we have to either sign him or use the franchise tag to keep him around. So that's the argument against using the fifth-year option on Daniel Jones. Hey, if he plays great, we still have a way to keep him from hitting the open market. If you use the fifth-year option, $22 million in change. That's not high-end quarterback money. You can justify that, but then you potentially get yourself into the same kind of mess that the Browns are in with Baker Mayfield, the Panthers with Sam Darnold, although they're sending out the signals that he's going to be the starter week 1. I don't buy it. That's just please don't leapfrog us with the 6th overall pick in the draft and take the quarterback we'd like to take, right? But that's the downside. If you show that faith in Daniel Jones, you may be out $22 million next year. It's a hell of a gamble. but just the fact that they're equivocating on it. And this was as of a month ago. What's changed in the last month? They haven't gotten to work with him yet, but that's what Shane told me as to their reasoning, because it's like, I can't reconcile this. You say you love him, you say he's your guy, why aren't you picking up the option? So my guess is he really has to screw it up. Like, he has to show up drunk. He has to, but it has to be something like that, where they're like, what the hell's wrong with this guy? So if they don't pick up the fifth-year option, they must have seen something this month that they found extremely alarming, Mike.
I completely agree. And I'll kind of use it like a pro day. Rarely do you see a guy on pro day in shorts and a T-shirt screw something up really bad. So one thing, Daniel Jones, listen, from a just purely blinders on quarterback, what I see, I would not give him the fifth-year option because I'm not sure about him. But again, there are a few more, as we pointed out, options in this business decision. I don't have any doubt in my mind that this guy will look good in the next month, picking up the system, talking about what he sees at the whiteboard or what he sees on film, because that's all they can do. That's all they can do. To think you can get a realistic view of what Daniel Jones will do in this new offense is ridiculous. You will not. That's why I completely agree with you. He would have to so screw it up to where they've already said he's our guy, that all of a sudden to say, no, we're not picking up the fifth-year option, then just be prepared for question after question. Well, what'd you see in the last month? Why was he your guy and now you're not picking up the option? You're installing a new system. What didn't he get? I mean, it would just become a mess. So I'm with you. I think he will look plenty good enough in his shorts and T-shirt and get ready for the and listen, maybe he'll thrive in this offense. We don't know, but that's the whole gist of this conversation is we don't know.
Daniel Jones showing up today for the start of the offseason program, presumably sober.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I'm kidding. Here he is talking about this fifth-year option that is hanging over him between now and May 2nd.
Yeah, I think, those things will, there'll be a time and place for those conversations, so we'll see and we'll take care of that. We'll do that when it comes up. But, I'm focused on what we're doing here, preparing and taking advantage of every day we have here together.
It's funny, there's no conversation to have. They're either going to pick it up or they're not.
No.
I mean, there's none. Unless they decide that they just completely love him based on 1 month and they want to extend him, but that's not going to happen either. There's no conversation. On or before May 2nd, hey, Daniel, we're picking up the option, or hey, Daniel, sorry, we're not picking up the option. That's it. It's not a conversation. It's a message. Nothing more.
It's a one-way conversation is what it is. We're going to tell you what we're going to do, and then if we don't pick it up, you're probably going to ask, okay, what do I need to do? And we all know what you do. Everybody knows what this situation is, right? And it always happens with a new head coach. It's a new system. We know Daboll's system. We saw what he was doing with this system with the Bills, and it worked phenomenal, with Josh Allen. So we'll see. That's what we're all waiting for, but we're not going to get any return on if we make the investment or don't until we start to see live action in live games. Right now, you're right. There is no conversation, or it's a one-way conversation, and Daniel Jones has to say, okay, either way. I mean, Daniel Jones is going to go play, right? Because if he gets it, then he knows he has at least $22 million coming next year. If not, he knows he's playing to be a free agent, or if he plays well enough, probably get an extension or tag. So either way, he's playing for an awful lot.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.